we're recording?
Yep, we're here today to talk about Donald Trump. My name is Jeff Mao, and I am probably the primary bathroom cleaner at Tenacor. I started the company, and I am the primary product designer and currently focused on running operations. One of the things at Tenacor that we probably aren't great at is actually dialogue with our customers. So we try to produce a bunch of media to share with them who we are and what we believe and what we're trying to do, but we haven't done a great job of saying, hey, what do you think? And then interacting with that. We do that to some extent in the comments, but the hope is with this video and this kind of new series would be to increase that dialogue and to interact. It's like, what questions do you have? Happy to answer them, happy to find other people who can answer them. Is not necessary, but will give you more flexibility as far as ride height. So the 43 Velo 5 works really well, but it does require it to be worn relatively deep. And so if you want to wear it a little higher and have a little more freedom of gripping the gun, then you probably would need to go with the 48 holster. Yes, we are planning to make HK VP9 holsters. Hopefully that will happen soon. It's relatively high on our list. A corporate policy is to not give out timeline estimates because we are not soothsayers, we are not predictors of the future. And so whatever we say publicly is always going to be wrong. It is only going to lead to disappointment for you and for us. And so at some point, yes, that is our plan. I don't know when. So we have some ideas and we have some prototypes that we've worked on for soft shell magazine holders of a variety of type. And I think that is a very interesting thing. I think it is highly likely that at some unknown time in the future, Tenacor releases some type of soft shell mag pouch. You're definitely a Gen Xer. Basically, like you are a 90s cop and the Glock 27 is your backup gun and you can't get away from Glock 22s and Glock 27s. I don't necessarily hate 40 caliber. I just think it is utterly useless. It is a solution in search of a problem. So it is basically federal law enforcement in the 80s had terrible training and terrible mindset, and they lost a bunch of gunfights. And rather than revisiting how they train and how they think about stuff, they looked to a piece of equipment to solve that problem, and it obviously didn't solve that problem, and it just made guns not last as long or less reliable. And so it is a solution in search of a problem, and I am grateful that it is gone. Or I guess it's not gone yet, but it is irrelevant. I don't think the first optic thing matters. It's just kind of what are the best optics. Unfortunately, optics are expensive. My default has always been an Aimpoint, and so whatever Aimpoint you want to go with, whatever is in your budget, whether it's $400 or $800, that's probably the way to go. Some of the Chicom optics are probably decent. I've always been an Aimpoint guy, and so I haven't put anything else on a rifle. And it's been a long time since I've really done a ton of detailed rifle stuff. Yeah, I mean, I would still stick with an Aimpoint. I'd maybe go with an EOTech. They make a decent optic. Some of the issues maybe they had years ago are, I think, mostly solved. So that's a reasonable solution as well. But I'm generally an Aimpoint red dot guy. If I did not have the funds to buy the proper optic, I would not put an optic on it. I would just go with irons. I would say with a rifle, like the first thing you need is a sling, the second thing you need is a light, and then the third thing you need is an optic. 3D printing, I don't know that that is a material science innovation, that's a process innovation. I mean, it's most 3D printing that is high quality is using nylon 12, and so that is a nylon that, you know, some sort of nylon or nylon 6/6 or whatever other nylons are out there. Like nylon has been used a lot in holster and accessories in the past, so I don't think that necessarily answers that question, but I do think 3D printing is currently the thing that I see in the future. Obviously there's 2, 3, 4 different companies that have already released holster products. We've had a clip for probably 4 or 5 years that is 3D printed that on our Ferro mag pouch. And then we released the sheath and we are planning to expand that line over time. And so 3D printing is awesome because it has all sorts of interesting abilities as far as design. There are problems with it as well though, as far as process. And I think there's also problems with it as far as just business operations and inventory management and stuff. And is, from my perspective, most of the people that I see talking about using 3D printing, it seems like they're not, like just based on my experience, that's not how I would think about managing my inventory and doing things. But there's lots of questions and unknowns. And so I think that is the most interesting thing. As far as other materials, I'd love to find something other than Kydex or Boltaron. We've played with a few things, but I haven't seen anything. But that is a thing that we've talked, or that at least I've thought about. I don't know that I've even talked to the team about, of just crazy ideas about like what it would be like to make a metal holster. And people might think that's insane, but it might be less crazy than you think. The holster game is pretty lame. And it's some sort of nylon through injection molding or 3D printing, or some sort of ABS PVC blend through thermoforming, and that's all anyone's doing. And so at some point someone will come up with something cool. So that is a good question, and I think the thing that holster people should be thinking about. Yes. Yeah, so we have been working on an active duty retention holster for a long time, and we think our design is pretty cool. It's pretty different than anything else we've seen out there. I know there are other companies that are working on that as well. So obviously that would work for that purpose. We also have been playing with some open top non-retention holsters that we've been asked to do for certain government agencies. And so because we did that, at some point we might sell it to the commercial market, but since we have it, but I don't really like that. Like, the reason why people are using open top holsters are, one, because they're just trying to be cool, or two, because there isn't a good quality active retention holster that actually works how it's supposed to work. And so I would prefer to solve that problem rather than sell something that is kind of that is understood by everybody kind of universally as a compromise. So I'm not going to say no, but we don't like compromising. So yeah. Not only are we going to make a holster compatible with Shadow Systems, but we make holsters that are compatible with Shadow Systems. Shadow Systems is one of the few aftermarket companies that designs their products to work with Glock holsters. And they don't feel exactly the same, but they work, and they work well. And we have test fit them, and we've worked with Shadow Systems and played with it and confirmed that they work. And so we have no intention to make a specific Shadow Systems holster. Tenacore fanny pack is a good idea. That's also a thing that I have thought about. In the last couple of years, there've been lots of improvement about fanny packs and waist packs and carrying guns, but I still think, at least for how I think about the problem, there's not something that solves that. So I would like to do something like that. The challenge is just our time. Our sewing is not mature enough internally to make that happen, so we probably have to partner with somebody. And so finding the right person who is using the right type of materials, that's probably the challenge. But I think it'd be cool to do probably one or two different versions of a waist pack. Yes, I think there probably will be, but I don't know when. Probably be an ARX 2, ARX Lux 2, but the ARX 2 only exists internally and not to you guys, so you're welcome. 6 months ago, I would have said the Zero Belt, hands down. Today, like, the Velo 5 is just really cool. I feel like the Velo 5 is the culmination of so many years of like experiment and playing with different things. I'm enjoying carrying a gun more than I have in a long time, because I think the Velo 5 works really well. But then also, I'm really excited about the Velo 6, which is just in my head right now about some of the changes, but just like the idea that we could change the Velo and make it that much better, and just the process of sanctification with product design is cool, and I'm really excited about that. Probably the Abdo mag pouch, and it's the Abdo because it's probably the one product that I kept changing and kept changing and kept changing, and I kept changing it for years, and we never released it. And then finally, the team was like, you need to stop changing it and just like make it go. And so we released it, and it's been there for a bit, but I got so many different ideas about how to do it differently. The challenge though with like an inside the waistband appendix carry mag pouch, it can be very specific to an individual that it's hard to make something that kind of works for everybody. And so trying to find the balance of that. 3D printing will be cool with mag pouches. Really excited about the knife sheath stuff that we're doing, the clip stuff that we've done with 3D printing, excited about mag pouches with 3D printing, and ultimately really excited about holsters with 3D printing. And just like, that'll create new problems, but help solve old problems. I mean, all guns are cool, but not all guns are things you should trust your life with. And maybe Taurus has made a bunch of gains in the last few years, but traditionally Taurus is not a company that you should trust your life with. They're not a gun that our primary customer base sees as a gun that's worth trusting your life with. And so I think if we made a Taurus holster, like I would laugh, and then most of our customers would laugh, and 4 people would buy it, and then that would be it. And so it's probably not worth our time and energy to do that. Probably a double mint Oreo. You gotta go double stuff every time, right? You can't, the original Oreo has significant imbalance of stuffing to cookie wafer, but then the mint, right? You gotta like, just with the weird chocolatiness that an Oreo is, like that mint flavor just balances that out well. It needs a little more bite. Like a standard Oreo filling doesn't have the amount of bite that it needs with the wafer. And so you add the mint in, you add the double stuff, and